Here we go.
Got it. Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. This is our Region 1 meet and greet. Well, I'll be introducing myself as a Region 1 representative. And Beryl, the Executive Director of the NASW Indiana chapter, will be sharing more about the membership at NASW. So my name is Juliet Brown. I am originally from Houston, Texas. I did my undergrad at Baylor University. I was a public health undergrad, so all this pandemic stuff is really interesting to me. So I did my undergrad as a public health student. All of my friends were like, you are a social worker at heart. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Like, that scares me. And so I decided to do public health instead. All of my work as a public health professional was mainly in like community development. So I worked alongside a lot of social workers. But a lot of what I did was that health education piece. So teaching and making sure that information was relatable to our targeted population. And I really, really enjoyed that. I moved around quite a bit. After my time at Baylor, I moved to Northern California, was there for about 2 years. I moved up there to do ministry school for 2 years. And then from there, I moved to LA, was there for about 2-3 years. And then I was like, I'm ready to come back home. So I moved back to Houston and I realized it was time for me to start a master's program. And I was like, somehow just sure that social work was it. I was just made up my mind. I knew I wanted to be a clinical therapist and none of the other routes quite felt like me. And so I knew that social work would give me the full picture perspective that I wanted when working with clients. And so I started looking at master's programs, started applying to master's programs, and then I met my husband, who's from Chicago. And so while I was applying for programs in Houston, I moved up to Northwest Indiana. So that was about 3 years ago. And so I had to kind of rework my entire plans and then, kind of get my bearings and then start looking for programs up here. During that time, I became employed with Lurie Children. So I'm an executive assistant at the foundation department within Lurie Children's. I really enjoy it there. It's a great team doing great work. And so from there, I started looking at master's programs and I applied at the Indiana University Northwest program where Winston goes and have been there for a little over a year. Somehow this has happened. Started last fall and I can't believe it's been a year, especially with the pandemic. Like I just feel like time feels like it's moving really slow and then you just look up and it's really moved a lot quicker than expected. But I am a master's student there, have been really enjoying my classes. My interest is in becoming a clinical therapist. I'm currently really interested in prison social work. So I'm hoping that some internships and different opportunities would kind of expose that a lot more, but I am really interested in working with that population with the end goal of having a private practice in Northwest Indiana. So when I started applying for the master's program, I started trying to find ways to connect with social workers here in the Northwest Indiana region. And as many of you know who live in this region, I feel like there is often this feeling that to professionalize, you have to go to Chicago, or there is this like allure there. And I didn't want that, especially as I think about my future. Like I wanted to help establish a network for social workers, a presence here within the Northwest Indiana that satisfied us enough that we didn't have to think about going to Chicago. And so when I was thinking about that, I decided to join NASW. NASW had several volunteer opportunities. And when I was living in LA, I did this board leadership program that prepared individuals to do board governance. And so there is a position to be a regional representative and a board member. And I was like, well, that sounds like along my lines, or like I have some experience there. And I applied, which brought me to this role. So it is being part of the NASW-Indiana board. But the other side is being the regional representative for Region 1. And so, as I mentioned, a lot of my hope is to kind of create a strong network for social workers here, so that we can know where each other are, where we can feel like we have experts and mentors and resources here, like in our backyards, that are reachable for us to grow. So some of our challenges obviously has been COVID. And I think, you know, with COVID, a lot of our priorities have shifted, and we've, you know, family has become more important, our time has become more important. And I think that we are all trying to kind of find our bearings and think about, like, what does it look like to work from home, or what does it look like for me to advance in my career in this new normal? So all of those have been, and also like Zoom fatigue and all the other virtual platforms fatigue. So those have been some challenges in kind of trying to create a presence, get people connected that are members, and also while trying to recruit for new members for our region. But one of the first things I did is I surveyed our members to kind of figure out what their interests was and what they were hoping to do, what they enjoyed previously from the different leadership in this region before, to kind of see what worked and what didn't. From there, I started a steering committee. We met the first Thursday of every month. And that was really fun. We got several different members that would join, and every time we had someone new, they would share, you know, their experience with the NASW within the region, what they were hoping for, what they felt was missing. And from there, we kind of created a plan. And you know, they really recommended for us to start a monthly newsletter. You know, one of their things is like, we get bombarded by so many emails, we don't know what is pertinent to just our region. And so I started a monthly newsletter so that like all of the Region 1 stuff is like front and center. And then another thing they recommended was this meet and greet. And so, you know, we'll share this out and post this on our YouTube channel so that it's accessible for everyone. But yeah, so, you know, for next steps, we are looking to kind of create a rhythm of some recruiting events for, you know, students and, you know, different individuals, social workers that aren't members, but also find ways to really connect our social workers that are already our members, which again is challenging given COVID. I know people are like really wanting to meet in person. And now we get the Delta variant, but slowly but surely, we have in our region one of the first social workers in Northwest Indiana. And I'm really hoping that he'll come and speak on what he has seen change through the years, and yeah, just like what social work has looked like for him. And then trying to work with some of the professors at different universities around the school to come and present. And then something that I would really love to do is pull within our members. You know, we have social workers that are teachers that I've been trying to pull to do like a back to school social work, like just have a panel discussion as to like, what does mental health look like right now? for all students, right? Whether it's university, whether it's grade school. And so I would really love to highlight the expertise that's within our membership, to promote them within ourselves, to help build, I know that one of the things that came up in the surveys is that people really want networking opportunities, and they want mentors. Like, we have a very active student membership. So a lot of our student members are really responsive, and that's what they're looking for. They're really looking to find mentors within the field, especially the ones that are interested in private practice, to have someone that can help guide them. And although I think our older membership is just really looking for that connection piece. So where they're also, part of like case management membership groups and different membership groups. I think that, and Beryl will share more about this, but I think NASW really has a lot of benefits that support like students that are just starting, and there's a lot of information, but it also helps those like seasoned professionals, and there's a lot of benefits for them as well. And so yeah, trying to get both of those different groups engaged, and get them together and talking, so that we can create that like safe community here within Northwest Indiana. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you. No, that sounds so exciting, Juliet. I'm happy to be here and listen to your ideas. And I know that highlighting the expertise in the region, yeah, we need more of those events. And I think that will help improve membership of our students in our Region 1 area. Because I know that when I bring social workers into my Intro to Social Work class, students are so excited. Because they can ask questions of like, okay, when I graduate with my degree, what do I do? Where do I go? Oh, I want to be like you. So I love that you're sharing that part of it, because I think that's really important. So thank you.
You're welcome. I agree. I also feel like, there aren't a lot of different groups or organizations that will highlight us or that we can go speak at, or especially within our region. And so it's like, why not give, our own membership the opportunities to have those platforms?
Yeah. And to even understand how important your connection with NASW is. Our field director, Robin Miller, teaches HBSC in practice, and she mentions NASW as that resource when there might be ethical issues with the clients that she serves. So I think it's so important for students to understand how many resources we have with NASW. So yeah, I think that's exciting.
And go for it, Beryl.
I was gonna say that was a perfect segue for me to jump in, but go ahead, Juliet.
I was actually going to say something that would also segue you, is that there are also a lot of opportunities within NASW to get plugged in volunteer committee opportunities that help people stay engaged, especially students as they're starting their careers. There's so many ways to make a difference within, their profession. So with that, I'll hand it over to Beryl to speak more about NASW and the different membership opportunities.
That works. So good morning. I am Beryl Cohen. I'm the executive director of NASW Indiana chapter. I have been with NASW as the executive director for a little more than 4.5 years. I've been a member since 1991 when I was in graduate school. I sometimes cringe at saying that because it makes me realize how much time has passed since I was in school. But I joined because my professor at the time said, this is what you do. You support your membership association. And so I did, because I didn't quite understand exactly what that meant. And over the years, after I graduated, I left the state for a short while. I came back in 1996. I've been back in the state since 96. And I've been an active member of the chapter since then. And I can honestly say that it is one of the things that has helped me throughout my career. I am a true macro level social worker. I am my confession to the world. I am an unlicensed social worker because I have never worked in direct service. Since 1996, I have not worked in direct service. I do not provide services. I don't do therapy. I am a policy macro geeky policy nerd. That's what I am. And so don't follow my example. If you're graduating, please make sure you get your license. Don't wait 20, because now I do want to get it. But I graduated with the DSM-3. It's now what, the DSM-5. I have a lot that I need to catch up on. So, but that's my little plug about licensing. Don't follow my example. But like I said, I joined because I was told by this faculty person that I should join. And I did, and I'm like, I don't really know. But truly, over the years, I have met so many people. I have made so many connections. Most of my work has been in macro, so I'm not around a lot of social workers when I do my work. Now I am, because I work for NASW, but I would do policy work and be lobbying at the General Assembly with lawyers and other folks and business folks. And so knowing that I had this home, this group that I could come back to, that I could hang out with, COVID has kind of messed up that piece of us being able to meet up on a regular basis physically and talk about things. Hopefully we'll be able to fix that soon, and maybe we can start being in person again. But just the connections, there is, Pam and I, we first met, I think, when I started here at a LEAD event, when she brought down some Purdue North. She actually emailed me one day and said, I have Purdue Northwest students who want to help with LEAD, and what can we do? And I'm like, great, here you go. And, I'm sure, well, I hope you all have experienced in this. If you haven't, I hope you will experience, which is you meet another social worker, and it doesn't matter if you've never met them before. There is something that connects all of us, and that is those core competencies and those pieces of our education. And that's what NASW does. It provides an opportunity for you to do those things. In addition to all of that, to the touchy-feely meeting people. I mean, I have people I have connected with for 20 plus years at the annual conference every year. I don't need CDs. I always went. Richard, I just muted you. We were getting a lot of noise off your line. So I muted you. You can unmute yourself when you're ready. There we go. Thanks. There's all those pieces, right? That I can't put a value on those pieces. But what I can tell you is there's a ton of other stuff that we have to offer. And so I am really quick going to, if I can, there we go. I will be the first to admit that Zoom and me are not as experienced as I am in other, there we go. So hopefully y'all can see my screen, I hope. So whoops, there we go. So just a couple of pieces, just in case you don't know who we are, I will just give you some of the background. So we were created in 1955 as a merger of 7 organizations. It's one of those things that all these organizations were working independently, decided that, and realized that if we came together, we could do more together. And that's really the goal of NASW, is together we are much more powerful. If I can walk into the General Assembly and say that of the 10,000 plus licensed social workers in the state, I represent half of them, I represent 3/4 of them. We have more power than when I walk in and say, I only represent 100 or 200 or whatever. So it does help us in trying to help make changes, positive changes in legislation. And that's really a lot of our work is around enhancing professional growth, looking at professional standards and making sure they're maintained, advancing sound social policies. NASW is one of the few, if not only, membership associations that actually works on behalf of our members and the clients we serve. Mainly because if we don't also represent the needs of our clients, none of us would have jobs. When the ACA passed, we got a lot of expansion of mental health coverage, and and parity and things like that. And all of that wouldn't have happened as consistently if it wasn't for the ACA. And so there are things that we can do at a national and state level that can help enhance our clients' lives, as well as our ability to help them get the services they need and to do our jobs. We are the largest organization of professional social workers. We have about 110,000 members overall, about 15,000 student members. We have 55 chapters. I am a social worker. I don't do math, so I will explain to you how we get to 55 because somebody always asks me this question. But we're in every state plus the District of Columbia, plus we're in New York City and New York State, and then we're in Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. So it's kind of fun sometimes trying to get us all together because we cover so many time zones. But we do every couple of months, we all get together and work through things and talk. And I'm always amazed how the same kinds of issues end up hitting no matter where we are. So it doesn't really matter if, you know, you're in Indiana or in Arizona, there are some of the exact same issues that we all work with. Currently, we have about 1,800 members. Actually, that should be updated to almost 1,900 members. We do a lot of work around public policy and advocacy. We also do, let me back up. We do a lot of work in public policy and advocacy. And let me just be clear that that's not only about licensing, because I know that when I started, it seemed like that was our only focus back in the 90s. And that was a large part of the focus in the 90s was around licensing and making sure we got licensed. Now we do work around making sure that nobody goes in and makes negative changes to our license and makes it easy for somebody with like a high school diploma and no experience to call themselves a social worker. We're trying to make sure we protect our professionalism and the strides that we've made. Plus, we work with partners on other issues around like domestic violence and hate crimes and other things. We have currently 10 regions in the state. So Juliet is our Region 1 rep, and our board includes our regional representatives, as well as we have both a BSW and MSW student rep. And if anybody knows any MSW student who might be interested, our representative MSW rep position is currently open. The only requirement is you have to be an NASW member. We have a number of committees. I'm not going to go into detail about them, but they all do different work. The only ones that don't tend to meet like every month or every other month is our PACE committee, which only meets during election years. Our conference committee, which is really focused on planning the conference and pulling those pieces together. So they take a couple months off in the fall and then they start up again in December and start planning for the next year's conference. And then we have an ethics committee that we are in the midst of rebuilding right now. Our functions, again, around professional development, maintaining professional standards, and providing services. So, and I will get to those in a couple minutes. If you are looking for information and news, we are a great resource. Our national website has all kinds of information. We have the code of ethics, as well as competency standards that we have published over the years. We are currently working on updating a number of those competency training competency booklets. You can get access to either an ethics and or legal counsel. Most people call and start with me if it's something that's outside of my expertise, because I will never say that I am an ethics expert. If you're an NASW member, you can call the national office and get an ethics consult from somebody at national. We have malpractice insurance. You actually get about a 15% discount on your malpractice insurance through Assurance Services if you are a member. So it is a discounted rate as for members. Non-members can get the insurance. It's just a little more expensive. And again, as I said earlier, I think the most valuable piece of NASW is building that professional network. And now we have some added tools that make that building that professional network even better. And I'm going to jump over that and just because somebody always asks me about rates and I never can spit them all out correctly without messing something up. Here is the slide on what our rates are. I'm never going to tell anybody that these are cheap. I know that it's hard. There have been times when it's been hard for me to cover figuring out how to pay it. We do have options if you are a member and you're having a difficult time with paying in your next set of dues. Please call our national office and they will work with you on doing that. And we are hoping to roll out a payment plan set up for dues so that you can basically pay on installments. That is something that's in progress and not finished yet. And then again, like I said, you can get, especially students, you can get discounted liability insurance. And I know that most of your employers will cover you with liability insurance. Please remember that they are covering you as their employee. So if you're going to go out and do private practice, you need liability insurance. And as an employee, their goal is, their first priority is for them, not for you. And as a licensed professional, if something were to happen and somebody were to file a complaint against you, it's against you, not against your employer. And so you are the one that would be responsible. Your employer might help you, but it's always good to have a small liability policy on your own, just to make sure that you're safe. And I am not saying that just so that you all go and purchase insurance from us. That's not the point. I just want to make sure everybody's safe and protected. So I just wanted to take a few minutes, and this is where I usually mess up. So let me stop sharing that. And I just want to show you all a few things. Whoops. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button on my computer. All right. So we have a couple of, so this is our website. And if you go onto our website, you can find information. We do have a job bank on our website for Indiana specific jobs. All you have to do is click on our Career Center and you can go in and see if you're looking to hire. You can also post jobs. We also have a link to some external employment sites, and then there is a national job bank that is also available that you can access through the national site. We have information on our workshops and trainings, as well as other events that we have approved. So the approved CEH events are events that we have approved the continuing education for them, but we have nothing to do with the events. We do not sponsor them. We do not run them, but you can find information about other events on our website. You can also, so if the next event that Juliet plans, if there's registration required and a payment, it will be on her, it'll be under the events and registration, as well as then we have regional pages. So you can go in and find information about your region. We have an advocacy tab. We recently put up information on it about the most recent legislative updates that happened from this last session, which included the passage of mental health diagnosis and telehealth, which were two really big pieces. The mental health diagnosis bill has been something that has been needed since we first got licensing 20 some odd years ago. But there's lots of information on our website. So I encourage you, if you haven't, to go ahead and spend some time looking at it. And then, did it just switch to the national website, or am I still on our website?
We're on the national website.
Okay. This is where I never know how Zoom works. This is the national website. So I just wanted to share a couple of things. There is all kinds of, so you can find specific information about clinical social work. And if you are a member, you can actually jump in, and we have an hour with private practice. But you have to log in. So if you're a member, you can log in to an hour with private practice. They're once a month. They're just 1-800 calls. You call in, you're on the phone with hundreds of other people from all over the country. They do a little bit of education and answer questions. It's a great way to learn. And you don't need any technology other than a phone. Again, it's a member only, but it is a great benefit. You can find the code of ethics on here. We also have practice tools for each of the areas, have information like that, but you can find the recently the Medicare physician fee came out. There's a rule change. We've put that information out. So there's all kinds of things that you can find on the national website. I am not hitting every single one of these. I promise you guys, don't like freak out. I'm not going there. But I just wanted you to see there's all kinds of information. You can find out about virtual events. We have, like I said, we have a career center. We also have, through our continuing education, you can actually go into our online CE Institute. As a member, you would get a discount. You log in, you can find sessions that the national office has put on, as well as sessions that different chapters have put on or are putting on, and you can register for them. If you're a member, you get a discount. If you're not a member, you don't. It's automatically connected. So once you're in and you're set. Whoa, I don't know why it wants to update while I'm working on something, but it did. So the other thing that we have, which is really nice, is the My NASW. And so we are currently logged. Oh no, okay, it didn't log me in, it logged me out. Okay, good. So when you go into My NASW, and I think, there we go. So this is my profile and my page on NASW, just so you can see. But what you can find is all kinds of information. So there's all kinds of discussions that are going on. There's information about upcoming events. There are announcements about things that we've done or things that we are doing. Every single chapter that is doing an event that has asked, those events can be posted here. We also have communities. So there are chapter communities. So if you decide that you want to, you're going to move to California, you can change your membership to California, or you could email NASW California and ask if you could join their group to ask questions in their group about things. And so there's just all kinds of opportunities for you. And that is the end of my sales pitch, I do believe. I always feel like I should offer you all something really special at the end, like I don't know, you guys probably don't know about the Ginzu knives and the slicer dicers that they used to sell on infomercials. But now they sell you like deep fry air fryers and other things. But so that's kind of who we are and what we have. I have to say the My NASW has been a great addition to all of the other things that we have, because you can go into that community and ask a question and get answers from people all over the country and literally all over the world. If you are an NASW member, it doesn't matter where you are. You can log in to My NASW, you can ask questions, you can connect with people. And we have a student community that all of our student members are able to access, and then we don't kick anybody out of that community. So you are able to stay in that community after you graduate and continue to get some support. But again, it's one of those nice ways to be able to connect with students in other states and talk about things. And that's what I think is, I love being able to go in and look at the conversations that are happening and what people are talking about. So, so that's kind of the ins and outs, the 10-minute, I think, of NASW and NASW Indiana. Do any of you have any questions?
I just want to add one thing to the My NASW pitch. When I first joined in the mornings, I would wake up, get some coffee, and just read through the forms. They're so informative. Like, students are asking, how do I study for my licensure? What tools were helpful? But how many hours did you put in? How many months did it take you? Like, it is extremely helpful. Individuals are wanting to get into private practice. It's like, well, how did you, where were you 5 years before you started, your private practice? How did you start building a clientele, et cetera? It is extremely helpful. And there's so much information on there, and people are so willing to give information on there.
So do y'all have questions? I guess we could put you on the spot and ask you each to introduce yourselves. I don't know. Nobody cringed when I said that. So should we do that?
Sure.
So Pam, you want to start and do a quick
I
introduction?
will
And
start. I'm Pam Saylor. I am the Social Work Program Director at Purdue University Northwest at the Westville campus. I attended Valparaiso University in their social work program, graduated from there, and I was fortunate enough to teach 1 year as a visiting assistant professor in the social work department. My mentors there, Barb Kronbacher-Niedner, and that led to a position at Purdue University Northwest, where we were accredited in 2019. So happy to be here and to meet others in our profession.
all right, I'm going to start calling Winston, just because you're the next person in the box. That's all. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Winston. I am living in Valparaiso, Indiana. I am a student of social work, master social work program. I'm going to start my second year this next week. What else? I am from Ecuador. I work right now in Regional Mental Health Center in Maryville, but I would like to go for clinical social work, no mental health. And what else? I have 3 children. I have one special need child, is my second one. And this is why I maybe like to advocate for the disabled children.
Thank you. Thank you. Richard, you're the next person in a box.
Okay, my name is Richard Hayes. I'm retired from Gary Community School in about 2015. I worked in social work for a number of years. Started with Gary Community Mental Health. I think I was the first social worker and therapist in Northwest Indiana, especially Black African-American social worker. Did a lot of training during that time. I involved myself with a lot of different aspects, not just social work, little league, things like that. So I've been active in the community for a number of years. I think lately I haven't been as involved, but that's for a number of reasons. And I'm planning on maybe getting back involved again in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you. And Kimberly.
Yes, hi, you would not see my face. I am driving, I had an appointment, but I am Kimberly Irvin. I am MSW student. This is my last year. I'll be starting. I work for the department for 8 years now. My undergrad was criminal justice and criminology, so a little bit different than social work, but DCS kind of stuck in, and this is something that I definitely wanted to pursue. And kind of hopped on today because I'm always curious to know about the, I guess like the student membership as a full-time, employee, a full-time worker, a full-time mom, full-time wife. I always wonder what that level of commitment that looked like. So I always was hesitant to join that. As you guys know, your last year you had that internship for a year. So it was good to hear a lot of good information that I could get from this today.
Great, thanks for joining us, and thank you for not being on camera while you're driving. We appreciate that.
Oh, no problem.
It's kind of the nice thing about, right, the world that we're in is that we can join things from no matter where we are, as long as we do it safely. So I just wanted to, just a couple of pieces, I guess. The nice, like I said, the value of NASW is that we can help, we can provide you with connections, we can help you all make connections. We do have the ability, we have a small list that I'm hoping to build over the next couple of years of people who have LCSWs who are willing to provide supervision to people who have their LSW working towards their LCSW. I cannot promise anybody I will ever get that provided for free to everybody, because there is some costs to providing supervision to somebody else. But we have all kinds of resources, and truly our limit is based on who we have available as far as volunteers and members to help. We are a very small, I have one other staff person, and this year I have 3 student interns. So we do have the ability to do internships, and we do a lot, and our board is very committed, and they do a lot of work. But that is how we succeed, is through the staff support in the office, and then all of our members and our board. So if you are interested in getting involved, I really encourage you to reach out. You can talk to me. I can connect you to Juliet. I'm sure Pam would be happy to, as a member. Richard's a member. So, we can connect you to members. We are looking at putting some other pieces together. The royal we of all of NASW, we kicked off a session last week on student loan debt, and some resources we have through a company called Savvy. You can access Savvy's services. You don't have to be a member, but there's a discount if you are a member, and some access to some additional resources as an NASW member to Savvy, and they can help if you're getting ready to graduate, you already graduated, you have debt, student loan debt specifically. This is not about other debt, it's just student loan debt, but they can help, and they've been very successful in helping people get information on public service loan forgiveness and other pieces. It's all very complicated. I will never pretend to understand it, but we have that expertise, and we have plans for basically the next 12 months to be able to provide sessions on different topics specifically aimed towards students and new graduates. And so I hope that you will keep an eye out. Those of you who are in school will keep an eye out for those. And if you come up with other things that you would like to see happen, we will do that. Excuse me. I think that's about all I have. Do you guys have questions? Want to talk about anything else? Have suggestions of things you'd like to see happen, not happen?
I'm going to share. Can you share a little bit about our NASW annual event coming up in September?
Oh, our conference. Thank you, Pam. I didn't even pay you for that reminder. It was on my note, but I forgot it.
Because I need to register, so I thought I need to ask.
I was like, and I have my social workers are essential t-shirt on. So September 27th and 28th is our annual conference. It is virtual. There have been moments over the summer, the beginning of summer, it was like, maybe we should have been in person. Now with the Delta variant, I'm very glad that we are virtual again. It's a great opportunity. We have a ton of information. Monday morning, we're kicking off with a panel on BIPOC mental health. So we've got 3 professionals who are providing mental health care, mental health treatment. I always use the wrong words, and this is recorded too, which doesn't make it any better. And then Tuesday morning, we're kicking off with a panel of 4 social workers who are doing unique social work jobs, they're macro level jobs. So we have Victor Manala, who is just started as the president of NASW California, and actually was an elected official in he was on the city council and was mayor in his community in California, as well as taught in a bunch of other things. Valen Alford, who works currently for, and I'm not going to get the name of the organization right, but it's the NFL players. She works with retired NFL players, helping with resources. Sarah Butts, who is our director of public policy and NASW National, who does work on Capitol Hill with public policy and has a long history in public policy. And then Janetta Coleman, who's here in Indianapolis, who's a LSW entrepreneur, does program meeting planning, does a lot of work with DCS and other groups. So we met with them last night, and it's going to be a fascinating discussion about what the things you can do as a social worker and with your social work degree and the different things that you can do. And then there's a variety of other things. We're going to have an award ceremony on Monday afternoon to recognize our state social worker of the year, community partner of the year, our students of the year, as well as this year we're recognizing Senator Michael Crater, who helped pass our, who carried and helped to get us mental health diagnosis, as well as a number of other legislative wins over the last 4 or 5 years. You can learn about, we've got a handful of ethics sessions. So you name it, it's there. If you are an NASW member, it's cheaper than if you're not. If you're a student, we have student rates and retired rates, but you have to be a student member in order to get those rates. So there's a plug for membership. And you can get, I believe we've got 12 CEs over the course of both days if you attend in person. And then there's an additional 18 hours, excuse me, of continuing education that you could get as category 2 CEs by watching the video, the recorded sessions after the fact, because every session will be recorded and available on the platform for free for about 2 weeks after the conference ends. So thank you for the reminder, Pam. I forgot that commercial. So any other questions, comments?
And I'll make a quick comment. Kimberly, I don't know if this was a question per se from you, but there isn't a specific time commitment to being an NASW member. You know, all of the, like the My NASW and all the resources you can, you know, access whenever you'd like. If you do join a committee, and Beryl knows more in detail as to when they join, but they meet about once a month, and it's virtual. And so if you're interested in joining a committee, that would be the time commitment there. Yeah, I'm not sure if the conference committee, I'm sure they probably meet a bit more frequently as they move closer to the conference. And I think with things going virtual, and with us knowing that everybody's really busy during these time, I think there's also a lot of flexibility.
There is, and we do every meeting. We used to base our meetings out of the office. We have out of the building our office is in a meeting room, and then we would let people could call in using a 1-800 number. One of the benefits of COVID is it's pushed all of our meetings into a virtual format, and so we are now using this. We actually use a different platform, but for all of our meetings, so that you anywhere in Indiana, you can join the meeting. You can join us with a camera on, camera off. We're not that picky about cameras on, cameras off kinds of things when we're having meetings, but you're more than welcome to join. It's really nice having people from all over the state be part of the committees. As far as time commitments, public policy usually meets once a month or once every other month, depending on what they need during session. They tend to meet every 2 weeks because things happen quickly during the General Assembly. And that's usually January to April in odd years, and January to March in even years. Our PACE committee only meets during election years, which would be even years. I am so lost on dates. It's even years. So next January, so our PACE committee, our public political action committee, will start meeting probably next April or May. And then we'll really kick into gear after the primary in May to do some work over the summer. That becomes a little more intense, but again, a lot of it is done either virtually or by email. So there are a variety of opportunities to get involved. And then there are SOGI and CORED committee, our Committee on Racial and Ethnic Diversity, and then our Committee on Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity tend to meet every other month for about an hour or two, depending. And sometimes they meet on Saturdays. It just depends on the committee and what works best for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, can I ask a question at this point?
You sure can. Go for it.
Okay, I meet with about 3 or 4 retired social workers who we met last week at Marquette Park in Miller, that section of Geary. Anyway, is there a discount on retired members? And of course, they're thinking about either retiring their license or doing something of that nature. But at this point in time, they're talking about retiring their license. And I think at this point in time, they're not NASW members. So what would I do, or how would I ask them, or what should I present to them to reinstate the license?
So for membership, we do have a retired membership amount. So all you need to do for if you are a member and you are retiring, all you need to do is call our national office, our national membership line, which is 1-800-742-4089. I hope I just did that right. But Richard, I can send you an email with exactly who to call, and we can, I will send you an email with the phone number and stuff. People who aren't currently members, we don't typically, and again, I don't deal with membership, that all goes through our national office. But there can be some barriers to somebody who's not currently a member getting that retired rate, but I'm happy to help people if they need help with trying to get that retired rate or reduced rate. And the same with students. So those of you who are, so Pam, if Pam teaches the BSW level, if she has students who graduate and they go and work and they start their transitional student years, and then they decide to go back and get their master's, they just need to make sure that they let the national membership folks know, and they'll get switched back over to a student membership and that student rate again. It doesn't happen. It would happen on the anniversary of your renewals. We don't do it halfway through the year because the system doesn't do it that way, is what I've been told. So there is that option. As far as your license, once you get your license, I'm going to give a little more information, Richard, than you asked, but once you get your license, do not just walk away from your license. Keep up with it. Keep up with your CEs. If you decide that you don't want to work and you want to retire your license, it's a very easy process. You just send a letter to the licensing board and let them know that you would like to retire your license. They will put it into retirement. And then if you decide in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you want to come back and work again, there's a process that they have based on the number of years you've been out, tells how many CEs you need to get before they will reinstate your license. If you walk away from your license and let it lapse and want to come back and get it back, it's harder. So if you decide, or you know anybody who, wants to take a couple years off to have a family, wants to take a couple years off and sell everything and travel the world, whatever the option is, please, once you get your license, don't walk away from it. Make sure that you retire it. And again, Richard, I can send you all that information if you'd like.
I appreciate it.
All right, I will send you all of that. And I'm just going to ask, you don't need to give me your email address over a live recorded line, but the email address we have in the system is correct for you. You get our emails?
Yes.
Okay,
But
I can find it.
Just in case, let me give it to you. Richard.
You don't know, Richard, I don't want you. This is a recorded line. We're recording this. I don't want to get it. So if you're getting my emails, I can find it. I have it. It's really easy for me to find. So
I also have his email, so I can just shoot it over
Okay.
to you, Beryl.
all right.
Yeah, Beryl, thank you for that information. That's so important. We work really, really hard to get our degrees and then get our license, get licensed. So that's important to know, to not walk away. And we need to do whatever we can if we do walk away for a few years to have a family or travel, etc. Like, okay, this is good.
Yeah. And yeah, don't, especially and this comes from somebody who, like I said, I'm not licensed. I don't have to be for the work I've done for the last 20 plus years. But it hurts when somebody calls and says, I walked away from my license and now what do I do? And I hate those conversations because there is an easy way to retire your license and keep everything legal. So, so we just hit noon. I guess that's kind of it. I'm gonna toss it to Juliet to close out and we'll stop the recording and then we can stay on for any other questions.
Well, thank you all for joining. And thank you, Beryl, for providing a comprehensive review of NASW and the membership benefits there. Thank you all for joining. Really appreciate you taking time out on this Saturday to jump on to another virtual meeting. I know we all have so many these days. So thank you so much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.